There are times when I find myself wander from hither to there with hardly a care. Other times I'm just content to ponder which is the right way to go.
Life was pretty good for us. I had 3 lovely children. My husband was doing what he loved doing and I was doing what I loved doing. We were a team. Our children were very happy. We were in a church community that was very alive and going places. He was senior pastor of the church we were attending, and I was a typical pastor's wife. I made the scones and I had people over for morning tea and I loved it, and we had people over for afternoon tea and it was like a drop-in centre. People would come and we loved it. Our kids loved it, and that was our life.
It takes me beyond blue, it makes me...
I can remember Rob starting to say every other week that I feel fluey today, and he'd go to the doctor who was across the road and he would just say, oh, it's a virus, and would treat it as a virus and it would run its course. And then a couple of weeks later, I feel fluey today, my glands are up, I just feel unwell. And this went on time after time, week after week. Rob doubted himself at that stage because it wasn't something that we could put a finger on. And I think other people wondered too, being in a community of people. I think some wondered, is this real, or is there just something wrong with this bloke that's, psychological and he's trying to get out of things? He went to a GP that was recommended, and the GP seemed to know immediately what was wrong. He sent Rob to a rheumatologist for diagnosis, and she said he has chronic fibromyalgia at that stage, and so that at least gave it a name. And helped us realise that it wasn't imagination, because I think in his mind sometimes he felt it was just in his imagination, though he knew he was so sore and everything through his body. He was given medication for to help treat that, because part of the illness is sleep deprivation, and also depression started from here on in too, which was a new thing. I think the first time I sort of felt frightened of what was happening was while we were still up north, and Rob went into a black hole, and that's the only way I can describe it. It was just so dark, a dark, dark place, and I couldn't reach him. And that was hard. It's the first time I couldn't relate to him or help him. Rob would be in bed most of the time, or if someone came, he would hide. He'd be in the bedroom. He would not surface. So most of the day he was just, when he was at his worst, he was just not able to do anything. The difficult thing with Rob is that I couldn't even get him to the hairdresser. His beard was getting longer, his hair was getting longer. I couldn't get him in the shower. I think one day I counted it was 9 or 10 days and he hadn't had a shower. But he hadn't done anything either. So, I mean, it was a difficult time. Everything was difficult. So I felt lost my pastor. I lost my husband somewhere in there too. And I lost my identity in that sense, because I was part of the team. And I felt a real loss, a sense of loss, all round. I think we had to try 2 or 3 different psychiatrists before we found one who was right for us. Rob was given antidepressants and they worked reasonably, but he had to again try several different sorts before he found one. In fact, years. It took years to find what he's on now that has helped him in recovery to a recovery point. But there was highs and lows finding the right medication. That was the pits. That was really the pits, going through all that for him and for me. I think to watch him go through, it's like a nightmare. To see them have to try different medications until they hit on something that's right for them. but it's so important that they find it and that they stay on it. Because we were always a couple and did everything together, for Rob to be in bed, there was only half of me living and half of me surviving, and I found that I just went along day by day with that for a long time. In the early stages, I don't think I did much to look after myself at all, and I think if it hadn't been for one very special friend, I don't think I would have made it. I didn't go into depression, but I felt a few stages there that I might need to see someone and talk to for myself, but I didn't. It would have been helpful had I. I think my saving thing was that I keep a diary, and I've done that for many, many, many years. I've always kept a diary, but I wished I'd spoken to somebody professional or some organisation. I wished I'd done that. Now, as I look back, I should have, could have, would have. That would have been more helpful than struggling alone. And it was only when I got to know Beyond Blue, saw what they suggested and the helpfulness that they offered, it was only then that I realised I needed to look after myself. That's hard because I like to look after other people, so to look after myself was a little bit of a new thing. I would walk 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And I found that to be very therapeutic, just to be out there on my own, just breathing in the air, and that was time out for me. It took me a while to realise that my attitude needed to change towards Rob. He was sick and I was well and I was wanting to get on with life. I had to really keep in check how I was thinking. My thinking did go bad for a while, and I could feel myself getting very angry. I could feel myself, resenting him being sick because I still had so much of life I wanted to live. Once I changed my attitude to one of love and understanding and compassion, I found I rekindled something that I'd lost along the way. I'm quite excited at the moment because just this year, for the first time, Rob's doing things he's never done in 15 years, I think, or 13 years maybe. One day our grandchildren came and Rob got the guitar out to play. Now, he hadn't played it for 10 years and he just couldn't even do Twinkle Little Star. That's how rusty he was with the guitar. But he fumbled his way through it, and that was the first time I thought, gee, he's got this guitar out again. This is exciting. I was excited. You want to say, hey, hang in there with them. It is worth it. They're people of worth. They don't choose to be unwell. They just are. And there's a chance of recovery, and there's still a wonderful life to have together.
Takes me beyond blue. It makes me realise there is hope beyond blue.